Good morning. It is 7:04 a.m. on a day, Thursday, September 9th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I am paranoid about my audio settings. I think that they should be fine. I'm seeing the little thing, but I don't know. I've been messing with stuff and it feels like a mistake to have ever touched it or shown any sign of hesitation. Audio settings, if you don't know this already, can smell fear. Um, More relevant is that in continuing my rewatch of the Matrix trilogy, last night I watched part two, The Matrix Reloaded. And here's the thing. I'm going to skip right to the sum up. It's not that bad. It's really not. I actually kind of like it. That's not to say that it's perfect or even that it reaches the very high bar of the first movie, but it's really not as bad as it gets a rap for. It's really not. Um, I remember I saw it in the theater and had not rewatched it since. And I do recall feeling a little disappointed and frustrated with it at that time. But in revisiting it, I think it has a lot to offer. I think its biggest failings, honestly, are uh, twofold, basically. It introduces some really cool ideas that it then doesn't do anything with. And in particular, something that I've always sort of fixated on is a short scene where, first of all, earlier in the movie, they've established that things like ghosts and vampires and werewolves and stuff are actually just programs within the Matrix that have started to behave erratically. And of course, we get those ghost characters. But there's also these two guys in a room, and we're essentially told that they're werewolves. And isn't that cool? Except that you don't get to see them be werewolves. You get to have one get shot in the head with a silver bullet. They make it clear that it would take a silver bullet, but we've got one. Don't worry. And then the other one sent fleeing from the room, never to return. And it's just sort of like, why have them be werewolves if we don't get to see werewolves? And I think so that there's just, I think that's just illustrative of a tendency to feel like not that it's enough to just hint at things, but that they didn't ever streamline the script. They didn't ever decide specifically, this is the actual specific story that we're trying to tell, and we're going to remove everything that's not that. It feels a little bit too much like there's just a bunch of ideas in there and they didn't ever quite focus properly on exactly the specific story they want. Another good example of that is the Merovingian, who is like that sequence isn't bad. It's really fine. It's perfectly watchable. It just sort of feels like a different movie. And they don't ever really establish, like, what is he exactly? Is he another program? Is he supposed to be someone like Neo who can, like, manipulate the Matrix but does so selfishly? Like, it was suggested to me in this Twitter thread by none other than Jetsia Axelrod that this character is supposed to be a like a dark, corrupt mirror of Neo, and it's like that's a fine idea, except that the movie just really doesn't ever engage with him in that way. It treats him just like another obstacle that we need to clear in order to get the plot MacGuffin. And that's how Neo treats him in the movie, and it's just kind of an excuse for sort of James Bond villain vibes and a couple more action set pieces. Now, those action set pieces are fun, but it just, again, like the story is not very focused. It feels a little bit like, shoot, we need to have another thing fill half an hour of runtime. And but then again, it's like it doesn't make the scenes bad. It just makes it all kind of not fit together in quite the streamlined little compact package like the first movie does. And so, like, the movie has its flaws for sure. But first of all, I'm going to go ahead and defend Zion, the city. That cave rave scene crosscut with the love scene between Neo and Trinity, I'm going to go ahead and defend as good, actually. I think people, maybe it's partly just that I am much more on the same wavelength as the Wachowski siblings' sensibilities. And I think that that stuff, I suppose, to some, can play as cheesy. And I get that, and that's fair. But I think it's actually fun and cool, and I like it. So there. Um, but yeah, so in rewatching it, I feel like that is a perfectly fine movie. It really is. The first one is incredible, and it's an enduring classic. And so is the sequel as good as that? No. Does it go in exactly the directions that we might have predicted based on the end of the first movie? No. Does it have some pacing and plot issues? Yes. Is it also still a lot of fun with some cool action sequences and good fighting and stuff? Yeah, it is. It really is. And so I liked it, and I'm going to rewatch the third one. If not tonight, then later this week. So there you have it, The Matrix Reloaded. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.